Flipkart has recently concluded its 11th Big Billion Days shopping festival, and what you just saw was some highlights of how this event brings the entire nation together. The spirit of celebration and festivity is shared across the ecosystem as countless job opportunities get created and millions of sellers, artisans, small businesses and micro-entrepreneurs get empowered. With a strong commitment to powering the growth of the entire nation while leading in technological innovations that delight a customer base of millions, Flipkart is truly driving India's digital commerce revolution. But before we get to this year's event, let's take a step back and look at how Flipkart has positively impacted the Indian economy at large. To speak about Flipkart's journey and its transformational impact on India's e-commerce ecosystem, I'm pleased to be joined by someone who's been at the forefront of this journey for more than a decade. Flipkart's Chief Corporate Affairs Officer, Rajneesh Kumar. Thank you so much, Rajneesh, for taking out the time and speaking to us. I really appreciate it. I want to start with what I was just talking about, which is Flipkart's journey over the years. I believe it's been 17 years since Flipkart's inception. How would you describe the kind of impact that Flipkart has had on the e-commerce ecosystem?
I appreciate you asking this question and thank you for having us here. See, Flipkart started 17 years back, and I think this journey of bringing digital commerce to the play, driven by technology and innovation, I think has been a pretty empowering journey for Flipkart as such, but also from a larger ecosystem viewpoint. We started with books, right? This is how normally e-commerce begins.
Yeah.
And as e-commerce matures, when consumers become comfortable with buying stuff, which is where you require nuanced understanding of products. For example, if you're buying fashion, right? Which means you need to have customers should be comfortable with the fabric, texture, design, cut, all that buying online. I think that's when you start seeing maturity of e-commerce. And today you will be surprised that our largest category today on our horizontal marketplace platform is fashion. In a way, the journey of e-commerce maturity in India is also a journey of Flipkart in India.
Yeah.
But I think this has been a transformation for us, and as we see on the ground what is happening, using technology and innovation, which is sort of cutting edge technology developed here by engineers here. We are a technology company, right? And when you build those cutting edge technology, which world looks at India, this is an amazing company which is doing some phenomenal stuff. Flipkart in a sense is also a mini India, where engineering talent coming from all parts of the country is designing an ecosystem, helping create that e-commerce ecosystem, which is really democratizing commerce in India. And see, I think also if you take a step back, what is e-commerce? E-commerce in India is an ecosystem where you bring sellers and customer together by building a technology which is very intuitive, where customer experience gets enhanced, where sellers who typically, maybe if you go to a tier 2 or tier 3 town and you look at a small business who may not be very comfortable with technology, making sure you train them, you equip them with the tools which they need to become part of the digital ecosystem, and make sure their products are able to get to the customer, including the tier 2 and tier 3 town. That whole ecosystem need to be planned and thought through when you are designing it, and I think that has happened today. If I can just recall, when I go and travel to different part of the country, today our ability to source from different sellers across the country. So sellers in every part of the pin code in the country can actually come on the marketplace today, can list their product on the marketplace, and customer located in any part of the country, okay, whether it's hills or island, they are actually can get the products from any part of the country. That has been really a journey of e-commerce in India, and obviously it's very early in the game, but we can always already see the impact of that on the ground.
Absolutely, and you're right in saying that it is still early in the game, but I do want to speak a little more about the impact, because in India we have been seeing, at least in the last several years, there has been a digital revolution of sorts, and like you said, Flipkart is a homegrown brand, it's a homegrown entity. How do you think that Flipkart has helped in the powering of this revolution, this digital revolution that we're seeing in India right now?
A very good question. So when you talk about a growth in the economy, what all you see, what all you want to see, what are the typical indicators of the growth? You have indicators like infrastructure, you have indicators like job creation, you have indicators like prosperity growing, you have indicators like people on the bottom of the pyramid or underserved community, do they have access to technology? And that's what has been the real impact of e-commerce has been. So if you look at a sort of a, if you take a 40,000 feet view, what it has done over time. Very bottom of the pyramid communities, so there's a farmer producer organization, farmers, artisans, weavers, which never had the opportunity to become part of the digital marketplace themselves. So somebody was aggregating for them and either exporting or bringing it to the customer, but they themselves becoming part of ecosystem where they feel enabled to directly engage with the customer. I think that has been transformational.
Yeah, that's very interesting what you're saying, that you have been able to empower, small businesses, MSMEs, women entrepreneurs. How do you think Flipkart is doing that? How is it leveraging its technology, its platform, its innovation to help these small scale sellers?
So I think going back to the fundamentals, how will Flipkart grow? I think the fundamentally is we need to get more sellers on the marketplace, right? And we need to get more customers on the marketplace. It's that virtuous cycle where you have more sellers and more customers. So more products will be on the marketplace and it will attract more customers to come over there. So when you look at from that perspective, you want to get more and more businesses who are making in India, bringing to the marketplace. And if you go down and a lot of people, a lot of small businesses, you need to make them comfortable. How do you really explore or take advantage of the tools that they are at the disposal, whether it's cataloging, making sure right kind of products are available in the marketplace. For example, customer is very, very discerning these days, right? An artisan may be making a product because that's the product he or she has been making for centuries, right? They are the generations. Now, customer today may want the products to be slightly tweaked in a manner which is more in tune with what customer may want for the household, for example, right? And if you are able to bring that insights back to the manufacturer or seller, then they can actually design the product like that. And when they are able to bring that product, you make sure that they find it easy to catalog it and showcase the discovery of the product on the marketplace. And you also have to make sure customer feels that immersive experience, because customers, if they are used to doing an offline business or to have a look and feel of this. So I think on our side, we need to build a trust that customer is able to say, listen, what products we are going to bring in through our partnership with the sellers is the right product. So saying that Flipkart did it, I think it will be wrong. Ecosystem which Flipkart helped build has been able to deliver that, which includes sellers, which include a transport partner, which include a startup partners, which includes government, which has actually enabled by making right reforms, which means structural reform like GST and all, has enabled this whole ecosystem, which has built in more formal economy. The tax compliance have increased. Imagine if you bring in small businesses into the formal economy, a formal and transparent e-commerce ecosystem, the tax compliance also goes significantly high. Yeah. So it's a win-win for the sellers, for customers, for platforms, and for the country and the government.
Yeah. Specifically, if we talk about the festive season, we know that the operational scale for Flipkart increases significantly during the festive season, and the whole sellers infrastructure or the ecosystem does sort of enable or is very important for events like Big Billion Days. So if you could share some insights, if you could share some experiences where sellers have really benefited and have seen success on Flipkart, especially during the festive season.
When I came over this room and I saw this board, I recognized one name at least here, Rahul Kumar, this guy. He's one of the sellers which has seen growth. He used from a very low paying job to starting a business which is on wood handicraft. Right? And he brought a lot of artisans together in the community and started started aggregating them, and make sure he worked with the right teams in Flipkart, which actually told him what sort of products customers want, and he started getting those produced by those artisan entrepreneurs in his setup. And today he's one of the phenomenal entrepreneur on the platform, and the hundreds of jobs he has been able to create. That's one of the impact that we sort of initially talked about. Today, if you look at on an average day, Big Billion Day is obviously an exceptional day or a period for us from a growth viewpoint, and team works. For example, if this is the Big Billion Day going on today, at the end of it, the team or the Big Billion Day ecosystem will start preparing for the next Big Billion Day, because you need to get into the groove of production, what will need to happen at that time. It means you need to be prepared to having that massive spike in delivery ecosystem that's needed, right? Today, if you do some X delivery, at that during the Big Billion Day, it becomes like a 2X. So you plan for that, and that, by the way, that 2X becomes the norm for the next year, which will again go through that spike in the next Big Billion Day. So we start planning, what does that delivery infrastructure look like? Do you need to have more fulfillment center? What sort of automation will you require to support that sort of spike that is needed? Our ecosystem also includes kiranas. We always have believed in the inclusive ecosystem. On average, big BAU day, I mean, I'm not talking about Big Billion Day, we do almost 120 million deliveries a month. Over 30% of the deliveries of them actually happen through kiranas. The disposable income that they get or the revenue that they earn from working with us as partners is actually at times comparable or higher than they actually do it from their own business. So I think this ecosystem, again, as I mentioned, it requires long range planning, but it also requires to build on what sort of partnership we are going to evolve.
That's really interesting, and one of the things that you mentioned was, and of course you've very elaborately described the whole delivery system, specifically again around Big Billion Days. Like you said, deliveries go up 2x, 3x sometimes, and from what I know, one of Flipkart's primary objectives or commitment is to sustainability, right? So in that sense, when deliveries increase to such an extent, how do you then maintain or enable, I mean, in the sense that there shouldn't be an adverse effect on the environment, since sustainability is such an important aspect to Flipkart's commitment. So how do you enable that?
See, sustainability is obviously woven in our fabric in terms of how we do business, and which means there are it's a multi-dimensional play for us. We have been able to eliminate single-use plastic in our supply chain completely. We don't use single-use plastic in our supply chain. So I think that's something which is our teams started on that early, and I think even before there was a prescription by the government, we actually went ahead and did that. Similarly, there is a commitment on renewable energy. So this commitment is looking at more holistic, business as usual and Big Billion Day all inclusive. So we take that piece into account, that Big Billion Day means higher spike, but that doesn't mean we will move away from our goals on sustainability. I think that piece, I was recently in a Climate Week event in New York. I shared about how we actually work prospectively with our partners to make sure that in whichever way we can eliminate, because see, the whole premise of growth is consumption. India's consumption, as the consumption grows, economy grows, job creation happen, but then how do you make sure that when the consumption grows, it's done in a very responsible manner, which means at least from our side what we can do, we not just support circularity, so we support a lot of brands. There's a dedicated section on our app on Flipkart as well as Myntra, which supports brands or products which are sustainable, so which are helping circularity in those sense, and making sure that our delivery ecosystem, which is the supply chain, is as green as possible. India's automobile sector is very different from global ecosystem. Yeah. It's primarily two-wheeler driven. If you will be surprised to know that 75% of our automobile market is actually two-wheelers. So when you are transitioning to EVs, unlike anywhere in the world market in the globe, this is different. So you have to work with the two-wheeler manufacturers here to make sure that right sort of automobile comes out, which is, and how do you make it affordable for people who are delivering for you, like gig workers, right? Because this can be expensive. So we work with the financial ecosystem to make sure that we are able to do an interest subvention or making the down payment slightly easier for them. So it's a multidimensional, and irrespective whether it's a Big Billion Day or business as usual. We make sure that we are able to scale up our whatever is needed to make our journey sustainable, including in the Big Billion Day.
That's really interesting, and that intent and that objective to sort of maintain sustainability is quite commendable. I did want to get your insights about what Flipkart has learned from their 11th edition of the Big Billion Days. How have you been able to maintain the kind of success year on year?
There are two parts to this. Obviously, it's not just 11 years of BBD, but also 17 years of being, in existence, so to say. If you take a step back and see what does that retail environment look like in India, India is almost a $1 trillion retail economy, and obviously we take a lot of credit for that to evolve that. So as I mentioned, it's very early in the game. Only 6 to 7% of the retail is actually e-commerce. And that journey of growing it from a 0 to 6 to 7% and sort of bringing those communities or sellers into the ecosystem. We organize seller events all through the year, and that becomes like a very strongly embedded into the whole thing. And how do you continue to motivate sellers? How do you bring those insights to them, train them, making sure that sellers community is very well engaged? That work is an ongoing work. India has 45 million small businesses. We have on our platform 1.5 million sellers. Most of them are small businesses. So there is a long road ahead for us to make sure that we are able to bring in more and more sellers, more and more underserved community, more and more farmer producer organization, and able to bring those products into the marketplace. And that's where the real benefit of technology or e-commerce, when it starts percolating down to those communities, that's where the growth of e-commerce will actually come in. And you have to bring those right insights from customer to the sellers, and this is how this evolution will happen. And as we go forward, I think a lot of customer experience will become more immersive. And I think, as I mentioned, deliveries infrastructure is strong today. And I think we are only limited by our ability to bring more and more communities into the digital fold. And I think one of the work that our team has done is, not everybody speaks English in India. India is a very diverse country. So how do you make sure that your app, whatever you're bringing to play, is available in all languages? So our team did an early work on that front to make sure our app is available in every single language. And that has really expanded the whole the footprint of e-commerce to bringing the next set of hundreds of millions of customers into the fold.
And Rajneesh, as we end this conversation, I wanted to get your thoughts on the kind of opportunities that the whole e-commerce space or the growth of the e-commerce space has created in the country, and what sort of a role do you think Flipkart is going to play in the future of e-commerce?
See, in a way, what we have talked about today, that ecosystem that gets created, it creates opportunity for small businesses, it creates opportunity for supply chain logistics infrastructure, which means new employment opportunity for people. It creates opportunity for startups who may bring in new ways of looking things or new way of improving the efficiencies which exist in this, and it creates new opportunity for customers. So I think if you look at those very dimensions, I think the key will be how can Flipkart continue to play that role of a catalyst driving that change. We talked about a couple of sellers who come from underserved community. The initiative which we started in 2019 called Flipkart Samarth, the whole idea was that how do you train those communities? Because see, you will be only able to take advantage of the new technology or emerging ecosystem provided you have the skill set for that. So I think the onus of that is on us, on building that partnership with the government or institutions around, and making sure that we are able to drive that change. If you are able to drive that change today, the country will reap benefits of that tomorrow. And I think that's where we have to continue doing a lot of work in making sure that we continue to skill those communities, we continue to bring them on market access, digital market access viewpoint, and make sure that discovery of that products happen for customers who are looking at innovative products from around the country and making it easy for them to get those products in time. And if you are able to bring this all together, which is what we have been attempting to and have been successful, because we have a very efficient ecosystem and partnership with that we have evolved, I think we'll continue to be successful in that journey and be able to contribute.
This has been really, really insightful, Rajneesh, and all the best for the future of Flipkart. Thank you so much, Rajneesh.
Thank you so much. Take care.
From empowering small businesses, entrepreneurs, artisans, and the entire MSME ecosystem to embracing cutting-edge technology, Flipkart's journey is a testament to the power of inclusive and responsible growth along with innovation. As the festive season continues, it's clear that the impact of the Big Billion Days extends far beyond just sales. It's about creating a brighter, more prosperous future for millions of Indians. Thank you to all of our viewers for watching, and here's to a season of growth, opportunity, and shared success.